everyone. I'm really excited to bring you this next showcase session with Hyber and Datatonic. And in this showcase session, we'll learn a bit about how Datatonic is leveraging generative AI and embracing it with Hyber to ensure that users can create new worlds rapidly in the gaming metaverse. Utilizing Hyber's new creation assistant, users can simply and seamlessly create new worlds using generative AI, simply by describing their desired creations using natural language. This has the potential for changing the way in which users build and play in the metaverse and transforming live service games to what is essentially a living games platform. My name is Audrey Chang. I'm the generative AI go-to-market lead here at Google Cloud, and I'm really pleased to be joined by the two gentlemen to my left. Directly to my left is Michael Ungforsch, co-founder and CEO of Hyber, the company behind Hyber 3D and Hyber World. Hyber 3D has revolutionized the gaming industry, making it possible for anyone to create in the 3D web. And Hyber World, its user-generated content hub, has now become what I believe is the largest interconnected web of networks to date. And so really excited for you to join us, Michael. Appreciate your presence here. And then here we have Alvaro Athabal, technical generative AI lead at Datatonic. Datatonic is a leading AI and ML partner for Google Cloud, 5 times winner of Partner of the Year, 2 of which are based on their extensive expertise and deploying end-to-end machine learning ops platforms and AI use cases for clients across a variety of sectors. And so I'm very pleased to be welcoming here Alvaro, who's worked with clients such as Hyber and many others to drive significant business impact based on their AI use cases. So I'd love to turn it over to you, Michael. Can you tell the audience a bit about Hyber and where it got to where it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll start with a little snapshot of what Hyber is all about. So, as many of you probably have seen, the web is evolving, and the next generation of the web is going to be 3D and immersive, and that's going to open up for amazing opportunities for people to express themselves, and we want to drive that change. So, our journey started thanks to inspiration from sort of forward-thinking ideas of futurists, especially Google's Ray Kurzweil. My co-founder read his book, Singularity is Near, and he got this huge aha moment as he understood that as Ray explains in his book, technology is going to evolve exponentially, and it's going to open up for creativity on a whole new level, and all this sort of powered by generative AI. And then back in 2015, he discovered 3GS, which is the 3D library for the web, for those of you who know it. And then he understood that thanks to this, self-expression is going to be open up for billions of people using the web. And that inspired him so much that he started to build what is today Hyber 3D. So fast forward to today, now we have this sort of really amazing cutting-edge 3D engine that is lightweight and capable of targeting any device with a web browser. And as we like to call it, we're not just targeting the 600 million that are lucky enough to sitting on like high-end devices and high-speed internet connections, but really including those other 4 billion users out there in the world. So along with this engine, we have a set of services that is supporting creators. So it's anything from multiplay, chat, identity, commerce connections, and so forth. And we're not really stopping there, but by uniting generative AI with these services, we're setting to evolve our platform from the kind of living, from the live service game platform they have today until a living games platform, which is super, super exciting for us. And then of course we have the create tools. So they're super easy and accessible and intuitive. So there's a set of SDKs for the millions of React developers around the world and other professionals. And then of course the UGC tools for consumers who don't know how to code. And as a matter of fact, last week we actually passed 5 million games and worlds generated on our platform, which is a huge milestone. So it's beautiful.
That's amazing. When I saw that progression, right? I believe it was from 2017 1 million to now 5 million. The cross pass last week. I think a lot of it is a testament to all the tools and the services with which you and your teams have built to enable creativity, to unlock some of the challenges and the blockers behind it. Michael, do you want to comment a bit more about you and your team's thinking around, how what types of experiences do you want to unlock? What was the challenge, and can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, I think the challenge for us was that how can we make creation of these immersive 3D experiences as easy and accessible, but of course as fun for as many people as possible. So now our team has done an amazing job with our platform. So we have I would say very high percentage of the creators on our platform. But we're not pleased there. We always want to do more. So we've seen over the years what we like to call the blank canvas challenge internally, which is that some users, when they're faced with a black canvas, they can sort of go blank. Right? They don't know how to start. Some are super creative and know exactly what to do. So to overcome that, we introduced templates, so starting templates. So users have somewhere to start off from, which really, really helped increase. But it's always been our thinking that generative AI, when the technology was sort of mature enough and the timing was right, it would be able to kind of break down this blocker. And we believe that we've reached that inflection point right now.
Yeah, and I think to that point, you don't know what you don't know when it comes to creativity, right? The intentions of the creator. One could provide templates, but if we have the tools and the solutions to enable someone to express what they're looking for, to articulate it, and for technology to understand the meaning behind it, that then takes your templates and blows it up to a new realm of possibilities, which I believe Hyber is looking to provide for many of its users. Can you say a bit more about Michael, some of the outcomes and the new user experiences you're looking to bring forward now and into the future?
Yeah, if we start with the kind of the hypothesis that we had, was that we believe that if we could introduce generative AI and especially enable users to express what they want using natural language, we could sort of break down this blocker that I just mentioned earlier and unleash this sort of creative potential that I think we all believe it exists in each and every one of us. And a good analogy could be like I worked in ad agencies before in my previous life, and a good analogy could be like an art director at an ad agency. They have designers that help them make their visions come to life, and just that these art directors, our consumers or our users, will now have the tools that they need to bring their visions to life. And I think that's super powerful, and we can't wait to see what they're going to be creating here in a couple of months when we roll this out.
And I think the ways in which we're looking to help that within our cloud and with our technology, we know a little bit about search, but it's a testament to the really extensive knowledge engine that our core search teams have built that understand when one speaks words of this, it actually means possibly these other things. And when one speaks again, then it gets narrowed down further. And so it's that understanding that we bring to our technologies, and where in this case we're happy and excited to have partners such as Datatonic that have deeply understand how our technologies can work and can figure out ways to piece it together to provide solutions to companies such as Hyber. Alvaro, I'd love to turn it over to you to comment on how Datatonic was thinking about the implementation from a technical perspective, and what thought process you went through from ideation to implementation.
Absolutely, yeah. And before doing that, do we want to show the live demo of the?
Yeah,
the
actually,
solution?
maybe that could be a good way to do that. So if we click here, and you can have an idea of what it will be looking like when we start rolling out these AI tools. So the first you'll see is how it will be like using natural language to create a world instead of using a template that I mentioned earlier. So let's have a look at that. There you go. And what's really cool here is hopefully you saw how the AI totally understands what you want to create, and then creates this sort of 3D environment that matches that as closely as possible. And I think what's also really amazing is that you don't have to be very descriptive what you wanted to create. You can express feelings, for instance, like I'm feeling happy, and then it'll create an environment that matches that as closely as possible. Or if if you type in your favorite movie, for instance, it will try to capture the essence of that movie. So it's super fun, and you can really sort of go down a rabbit hole with this one. So it's lots of fun. And I think next I'd like to show you what it'd be like to continue to building one of these worlds that you generated. And this you'll see again using natural language to continue building, instead of the drag and drop like tools that we have today. In this clip, you'll see how we make a castle come to life. Yeah, you have to be careful what you create in the future. So you see, it's incredibly powerful and super fun. And as I said before, like we really believe that this has the power to unleash that creativity that exists in each and every one of us. And the technology that we saw was needed some 15 years ago to make all this happen is now finally here, thanks to Google Cloud. So super excited.
I mean, we're very happy to see how you can supercharge the growth of the worlds that are created in the next 6 months to a year as well. Looking at this, I'm not a very creative person, but then I thought, well, I can probably come up with something that looks pretty decent, right? With no degree, no tools, no expertise whatsoever. And I think I'm very excited to hear a bit more about the implementation and how we're gonna drive this going forward.
So after the very cool live demo comes the boring architecture diagram. But basically here what we have is a simplified version of how the solution works in the background. So I'm gonna walk you through the workflow, but before that, to summarize, what we're leveraging from Google Cloud is most importantly Palm in its 3 versions. So the text version of Palm, the chat version, and the embeddings version. And then the solution is deployed in Cloud Run. So these are like some of the key Google Cloud components. So how this actually works is, even before the user starts to interact with the model, the first thing that's happening in the top right corner is that we are embedding the Hyber documentation into a vector store, and this is the back end of the solution. This is the key thing. Like, we are embedding the knowledge that Hyber has about these worlds. so that then when in the left the user starts to interact and say, hey, I want this post-apocalyptic world, then the question is embedded using Palm. And then we do like a retrieval augmented generation search where we go to the vector store, we retrieve the most similar uh, pieces of the documentation that will then guide Palm to know how it should generate these worlds. So then once Palm then generates the code to generate this world, the code is then sent to the Hyber API, and then that's where the magic takes place, and we get the world. So this is how it would work in the first video that Michael showed, where you basically just ask one thing. If you want to do more like the second version, which is to create the assets within the world, what you have is this chat version instead, where you can then go to the same workflow over and over again and interact with this. So to summarize, the magic behind this is Palm in its three main versions: text, chat, and embeddings.
It's excellent. I mean, this was one of the very core tenets when we developed this technology, to make sure that it was multi-turn, that it was not only able to be resilient to spelling errors with natural language queries, but that it can maintain context through those queries and simulate what would be a natural conversation and be intuitive in that sense. And so we're really excited and very grateful to have partners such as Datatonic to piece together, what looks really complicated, but Alvaro explained it in a very simple manner. But it takes a lot of heavy lifting to ensure that the inputs are put into the architecture in the right way and processed appropriately to get the types of results that Michael and team in Hyber are looking for. So thank you for that.
That's fine. Yeah, and then so one thing that we get asked a lot when clients say like, okay, how do we actually get started with Gen AI? And like some of like the main lessons that we've learned, not just with this project, but in general working with Gen AI, I think they are summarized in those 4 points. But essentially, just to take a step back, as Audrey said at the start, we have a lot of expertise in Datatonic with machine learning, with MLOps platforms, and just taking predictive AI to production at scale. And I think that a lot of the lessons that we've learned throughout the years in this can be expanded to Gen AI. And the key things are the same. Like, first of all, you really need to make sure your data is the quality that you need. Like, even though people might think that Gen AI is this magic that, oh, you don't need to train any model, so you don't care about the data, just say something and it will do it. That's not the case. You don't have training data, but you do have context data for your model, and this context data needs to be the quality required. So in the case of the demo that we showed, this demo would not be possible if the Hyber documentation is not of the quality required to provide the necessary context to the model to know how to generate these templates. So, and that's the first thing. Just make sure your data is right. Once you do that, you go to the next stage, which is like, okay, my data is right. What do I do next? And that's when the journey that we take customers through is like, prioritize your Gen AI use case. Like, first of all, start with like workshops, art of possible workshops, use case discovery workshops, to come up with all of the possible use cases that could impact your business, and then pick the best one. Like, pick the one that will bring the highest business value, but at the same time, to get started, start with something low risk, like something that will not negatively impact you as a business or your clients. Which is, for example, what we've done with Hyber. I think like the use case that we picked was really, really good for this, because like, as you saw in the demos, it's amazing. Like, it's gonna drive so many new clients, but at the same time, the risk is quite low. And then once you have your use case, what you need to do is then do a proof of concept and like start small, be willing to like fail fast, learn fast, and like start small and just incrementally go from this proof of concept to an MVP, then take that to production in like a guided like step by step. And then once you've done that, you're not finished. You've just started with your Gen AI journey, and that's when you can then basically scale out to many more use cases. Like this is the first thing, but what I typically like to say is that if you think of Gen AI as like building blocks, once you crack one building block, you can do so many use cases where the core of the use case is, for example, in this case, is like the vector store with your embeddings and retrieving the embeddings and similarity search, all of that. If you consider that to be like a building block, then you can just replicate that building block across so many use cases, and that's how you really scale out Gen AI efficiently. So if people ask like, okay, how do I get started with Gen AI? It's daunting. There's so many new things. This is my recommendation.
I mean, you kind of touched on that, but I think from our perspective is I think like resist that urge to take a kind of a big leap in the beginning, because we've seen so many exciting AI implementations that other people and companies have done. So, but our recommendation is to start small and learn and iterate, and that's the best way. And of course, find a great partner to work with that knows their stuff and have a great track record. And on that note, I'd like to say huge thank you to Datatonic for the excellent work you've done for us, and of course thanks to Google for supporting us and letting us share this story here today. And I think we have last slide here. So if anyone wants to play around with Hyber 3D today, or you want to kind of be first to play around with these AI tools when we release them in the next couple of months, do scan the code or go to this URL, and we'll put you on the early access list.
Awesome. Well, with everyone, make sure you get a chance to scan the code or take a picture of the URL so we can get as many testers as possible, and
please.
we can get the feedback that we need to make the technology better. With a couple minutes left, I'd love to open it up to any questions or inquiries from the audience.
There's a question.
You mentioned Three.js, so I was wondering if your builds are all web-based, no gaming engine underneath, fully available on any web browser.
Yeah, so we've built our own proprietary 3D engine, and it's actually built in C++, but it's capable of targeting any device with a web browser. So it's not Three.js based, but it's our own proprietary tech basically. So.
Hi, so this reminds me of Scribblenauts, but like times 1,000, if you're familiar. I'm curious if you can comment on how you kind of created the objective logic. We saw the tower knocked over the character with the beam, and if the avatar has interaction rules or anything that the objects you create can do, and how does the Gen AI factor into that?
I mean, these are the exciting things that we're going to explore here in the coming months. Like, so we're I mean, as far as we're concerned, we're just scratching the surface here. Like, so you saw here was a us knowing that we're not going to take too big of a leap to begin with, but we'll do that iteratively. So what you're talking about is super exciting. We're planning to get there to make this as really fun for as many people as possible to create fun experiences in games.
Speak right into it? Okay, sorry. I feel like I ask the same boring question at every panel. There's a bunch of graphical visual assets that you're generating here. Are you concerned about licensing or about like the kind of IP or license leakage of the source material that is used to generate the model? And like, what's the consequences of that for your downstream users?
Yeah, so everything you see here is actually sort of created proprietary sort of content. So this is not content that we're kind of licensing or using from anywhere. So it's our own it's our own content basically. And what's really cool here with this tech that we're implementing, we're actually able to create assets out of assets, if that makes sense. So we're not going to run into the same issue that I think you're thinking of, that maybe our other sort of 3D asset generation AI solutions might face.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for the amazing discussion. And thank you so much, Michael and Alvaro, for
Thank you.
presenting.
Thank you so much, Audrey,
Yeah.
Michael.